Okay, so we were talking again about the Quran, and we said that we have to read it. It's not any book or any recitation preserved in the book. People call it a book, but it's not. It's a recitation, and we have to read it. It's an amazing thing that actually, as Muslims, we recite it every day in our prayers, and we read it every day, and it's in our hearts, and no one can erase it. No one. You can take the books, destroy them, but no one. A person from China, a person from Romania, a person from Germany, a person from Canada, from the United States, Muslims will come and recite the Quran again. Okay, you'll find in America there's a copy of the Quran which was written totally by memory by a slave which was brought from Africa to United States when obviously when the slave trade was going on, and he wrote the whole Quran out of memory. Okay, that's in the United States museum. So we find that this is an amazing thing. You know, Muslims recite this no matter where you're from. They recite this and they read this from the bottom of their hearts. This is something, an amazing recitation that this prophet, this man, illiterate man who didn't know how to read and write, comes at a time where Arabic was so eloquent. Everyone had their own dialect, and they were so proud about it. And they used to have battles of recitation and of poetry, and they were very, very savage at the time. The Arabs used to bury their daughters. They used to kill each other over water. They used to have a lot of problems between each other. So here comes this person inviting people to the universal message that every prophet brought: one God, worship one God, leave the statues, leave the engraven images and all these things, and come worship one God. Respect each other. Give women their rights. Don't treat them like property. Don't inherit them. Don't bury their daughters. So he comes with the recitation to challenge them. When Moses came, he came to the people with magic, because they had magic, okay? But they're not magic, it was strength from God, okay? When Jesus came, he came with curing the lepers, healing the blind and all these things, and raising the dead at a time where medicine, all these things were at a rise. And Muhammad, peace be upon him, came with this recitation at a time where poetry and Arabic eloquence was just amazing, right? And these people used to memorize things, okay? They would not write things down because they didn't know, so they used to memorize, okay? So he comes and challenges everyone. And he says in the Surah 2, Surah Baqarah, Allah says, and if you're in doubt about what is revealed to the messenger, to the slave, okay, procure something like it. Procure one surah like it. And then the next verse, it even gives you the response that you will not be able to. Verily, you will not be able to. Subhanallah. 1400 years have passed by and people have failed. People have tried. I looked and I studied, and people have tried, okay? But they have not been able to match the eloquence. They're not been able to match the recitation. They're not been able to match what the Quran is. What the message that comes in a few words. I mean, it's just amazing what the Quran gives, the scientific accuracy. And I'll talk a lot about that. The things that the Quran, that there's no contradiction. In another verse it says, and if people, verily this recitation would not be from God, you would surely find a lot of contradiction. And I'll talk a lot about the so-called contradictions too. And I respect Sir William Muir and Reverend Robert Sinclair for their work and their missionaries, and I talked about that. And I will talk about that and about what they thought was a mistake. And these guys actually went and studied, and I respect their approaches. So just to keep moving on with the Quran is, it was revealed in 23 years, okay? 13 years in Mecca and 10 years in Medina, okay? And the Meccan period came with addressing the heart, the mind, okay? Talking about day of judgment, talking about resurrection, talking about death, talking about coming to worship one God, talking about heaven and hell, getting hearts, soft, don't bury your daughters, treat your women kindly, have peace between you. These Arabs were very, very savage at that time, and everyone has to agree that the amazing effect that the Quran had on the changing the hearts of the Arabs and of the world as a whole. You cannot deny it. You might not agree with me on the Quran, but you cannot deny this amazing change that the Quran, this recitation, had on people. At a time where Europe was in dark ages, Muslim Spain was flourishing with libraries and paved roads and public toilets and amazing things, innovations and inventions in science and everything that came from the Muslims. And you cannot deny the effect. And this was all by the Quran, because the Quran tells people to seek knowledge, be rational, learn, think. And this is what the Quran, the effect that it had. And unfortunately, today not a lot of people have this inclination. But inshallah, by the will of Allah, if we keep preaching and giving people the truth and telling and educating them, inshallah, people, not Muslims, Christians, they'll start seeking knowledge. Okay, they'll start learning and opening their mind and not taking just whatever people give them. If you want to learn science, you go to a book of science. But why, when you want to learn about Islam, you go to someone else who wants to disprove Islam? Go to a Muslim and learn. Go to a book of Islam to learn Islam. Okay? So I think this is something very straightforward, and everyone should agree with me. Anyone who's rational and who's unbiased should agree with me on this. That this Quran is something amazing. Okay? And I will talk a little bit about it in my next video.